A talented female law student in Macon, Georgia, Lauren Giddings, suddenly vanished right before moving day. Her apartment was locked, her belongings untouched, but she herself was completely missing. When police traced the smell of decomposition near the building, they found the upper half of Lauren's naked body in a black trash bag. And the person standing closest to the crime scene, the one most eager to talk to the press, turned out to be the killer. The shy, eccentric neighbor who quietly used a master key to enter Lauren's apartment, then killed and dismembered her. Lauren Giddings, 27 years old, was a bright, beautiful young woman. She was diligent, a high achiever, and loved by everyone around her.
She had this laughter that just was amazing. She's indescribable, really, because she made you feel just so loved.
She had a great personality. Very outgoing.
She lived her life to the fullest every day.
She was the eldest child in a family with parents, Karen and Bill, and two younger sisters, Caitlin and Sarah. The three sisters were very close and always took care of one another. Lauren was always highly motivated, and her dream was to become a public defender. In 2008, she moved from Maryland to Macon, Georgia to pursue that dream. Lauren quickly fit in and grew to love her new home. She was in a long-distance relationship with David Van Diver, a corporate attorney. They clicked from the very beginning, sharing the struggles of their careers and helping each other through difficult times, both at work and in their personal lives. David said, Lauren was straightforward, intelligent, and always thinking about the future. He had already planned to propose to her, though she had no idea. However, the physical distance between them after Lauren moved made the relationship increasingly difficult, and they eventually broke up. Lauren then started seeing a man named Joe, but she quickly realized she was still very much in love with David, so she broke up with Joe. In June 2011, Lauren graduated from one of the oldest law schools in the United States, the Mercer University School of Law. She attended the graduation ceremony with David and her entire family. At this point,
Lauren Giddings was from Maryland and went to college and then law school. She had graduated in May and began studying for the bar. She was a person who had lots of friends. She was very much well-liked. She was a runner. She was an excellent student.
Lauren was stepping into the next crucial phase, passing the Georgia bar exam, and she poured all her energy into studying for it. After graduation, Lauren returned to Maryland to attend her sister Caitlin's wedding. She told everyone that once the wedding was over, she really needed time to focus seriously on her studies. Like many students after finishing school, Lauren decided to stay in Macon instead of returning to Baltimore. She lived on the second floor, in apartment number 2 of the Barristers Hall complex. Barristers Hall was a building reserved specifically for law students, located directly across from the law school campus. But when she returned to her apartment, a place that had once felt safe and peaceful, Lauren began to feel that something was changing. She confided in her sister about something she couldn't prove and knew would sound strange, but she truly believed it was happening. She felt like her belongings were being moved around, as if someone had been sneaking into her apartment. Every time she left and came back, she sensed an odd atmosphere she couldn't explain. She had the feeling that someone was watching her, yet there were no signs of forced entry or break-ins, so she had no idea how it could be happening. This sense of unease never went away. On the night of June 25, 2011, Lauren sent an email to David, telling him about her fears. David tried to reassure her, telling her not to worry too much and suggesting it might just be some pranksters messing around without any serious intentions. And because Lauren was studying intensely and hardly ever left the apartment, he thought it was also possible that she was just under a lot of stress without realizing it. Lauren also sent a group message to her friends that included the following: "Hey everyone, I'm buried in studying for the bar exam. If I don't respond to your texts or emails, please don't be offended." In the days that followed, aside from going to church and occasionally exercising, she did almost nothing but sit in her room and study. So at first, a few missed calls or unanswered messages didn't seem that unusual. But Katie, Lauren's best friend, and her sister Caitlin had tried to reach her many times and couldn't get through. Caitlin was on her honeymoon and was sending photos to everyone, and the fact that Lauren never replied to any of the messages or photos felt very strange. It no longer seemed like she's just focusing on something else. It gradually made everyone feel that something was wrong. Another law student named Ashley received a call from Caitlin, asking her to go to Lauren's apartment and check on her. Before going over, Ashley also tried calling Lauren, but Lauren did not answer. Ashley and her boyfriend went to the apartment and saw that Lauren's car was still parked outside. Using a spare key, they unlocked the door and went in. Lauren's things were a bit messy, but that wasn't too unusual since she was about to move out to go live with David. But when they looked at the calendar on the wall and checked the dates, they realized that the next day, June 30th, Lauren was supposed to move out of the apartment. Then they found her phone, laptop, wallet, and bar review books still in the apartment, but Lauren herself was gone. The question now was, where was Lauren? Ashley called Lauren's ex-boyfriend Joe and asked other people who knew her, including some who lived in the same building. People began splitting up to search for Lauren. One friend said she had seen Lauren at a party about 4 days earlier. After the party, Lauren had gone home and sent an email to David, saying she felt worried and unsafe in her apartment. After more than 1 day of searching with no results, it was time to call the police. Lauren's parents drove more than 10 hours to Georgia to look for their daughter, terrified, with a growing sense of dread about what might have happened to her. Police quickly arrived at apartment number 2 in Barrister's Hall. At the scene, they saw no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, and no evidence of theft. All of Lauren's belongings were still there. Investigators knew this situation was not good. They began checking every unit in the complex. They used luminol to test for possible bloodstains. At first, everything looked clean, but when they sprayed luminol in Lauren's bathroom, a horrifying scene appeared. The bathtub lit up with the unmistakable pattern of having once been filled with blood.
Luminol was sprayed on the walls and in the bathtub of all the apartments. In Lauren's bathroom, it was everywhere.
The police now believed they were not just looking for a missing person, they were looking for Lauren's body. On June 30th, the weather was very windy. While officers were searching the area outside Lauren's apartment, a strong gust of wind suddenly blew through, carrying with it an unbearably foul odor toward the detectives. They were standing near the trash bins, and a very distinct, familiar stench made all of them freeze and look at one another. It was sickening, the unmistakable smell of a decomposing human body. One officer later said, "In your life, you'll smell many awful things, but the smell of a body decomposing is one of the worst things you can possibly imagine." The police cordoned off the area and opened one of the trash cans, making a discovery that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Inside was the upper half of a naked woman's torso.
They started looking a little closer around outside and discovered the trash bag that was in one of the dumpsters, and once they were able to open the bag and look in it, discovered her body. We found just her torso. There was no limbs attached, and of course her head was missing as well, so we just had her torso.
Wrapped in a black garbage bag, the medical examiner immediately began tests to determine the identity of the victim, but with Lauren missing and the luminol results in her bathroom, they were almost certain this was part of Lauren's body. "I've never seen anything like this in my life. Only a monster could do something this horrific. It was truly grotesque." One detective said that, in a strangely ironic twist, a police cruiser was parked right in front of the entrance, blocking the garbage truck from getting in to empty the dumpsters. If the police had arrived even a little later, the entire body in that trash bin would have been hauled away before the search ever really began. At the lab, test results confirmed that the torso belonged to Lauren Giddings. The medical examiner later reported that there were no signs of sexual assault, but they also could not determine Lauren's exact cause of death. They believed Lauren had been killed and dismembered on June 26th in her bathroom. The scene appeared to have been meticulously cleaned afterward. The killer was so careful that he did not leave a single fingerprint. Outside, the surrounding area was completely sealed off, and the police tried hard to keep quiet about what they had found. If the killer lived in the complex, they did not want him to know the body had been discovered and risk him fleeing or destroying more evidence. One officer said, "You have to start by looking at the people closest to the victim, whether emotionally or geographically." Everyone who knew Lauren was asked to come to the station to give a statement. David, Lauren's current boyfriend, was completely shattered, like a man whose soul had left his body. Not only was he utterly devastated, he also had a solid alibi. At the time of the murder, He had been playing golf in California. Next was Lauren's ex-boyfriend Joe. He, too, was quickly ruled out as a suspect because he had a clear alibi. Police began searching every apartment in the complex, going door to door to narrow down potential suspects. Everyone cooperated quickly, everyone except one man, 25-year-old Steven McDaniel. He said, "Since I'm a law student, I always protect my privacy," Steven said. He introduced himself as another law student, also studying for the bar exam, and said he had lived next to Lauren in apartment number 4 since their first year. He had even been part of the original group searching for Lauren, walking around with her friends, and he had already been to the station earlier that day to give a statement. Police continued searching the remaining units in the complex, but by then they were already suspicious of Steven. His behavior was very strange. He had just refused to let them search his place, yet he kept lingering around the area, hovering on the edges, shyly trying to watch what the investigators were doing at the scene. He made everyone uneasy, especially once the media arrived to interview residents. He was one of the first people willing to speak to reporters and offered his own theory about Lauren's death.
No one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time or anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, you always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see her?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. I mean, the only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss. But I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they had recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
That is no free. At that point at the scene, only a handful of people actually knew what the police had found in the trash bin. After the interview ended, Steven sat there for a long time, exhausted, staring into space as if he were lost in anxious thought.
She was as nice person as there is.
What's going on in your mind right now? Like, what are you thinking?
Why would anyone do this?
She didn't hear anything.
No.
Didn't see anybody.
I just heard something. Maybe I could have helped.
It's okay, don't worry. Do you want to sit down for a second?
A few hours later, Steven finally allowed the police to search his apartment. Police were stunned to discover that he had stockpiled a huge amount of energy drinks, food, and all kinds of different weapons. Searching through the drawers, they found various random items, including condoms. When officers picked them up, Steven muttered that he was still a virgin and was saving himself for marriage. His behavior was extremely bizarre, and when police asked why he had condoms, he mumbled that he had snuck into 2 neighboring apartments and casually stolen them. With his own admission that he had broken into other people's homes just a few steps from where Lauren lived, officers immediately arrested Steven for theft and brought him to the station for further questioning. Officer Min stated that a team of cadaver dogs had volunteered to help search for the remaining parts of Lauren Giddings' body. Her neighbor, 25-year-old Steven McDaniel, was still being held on theft charges that were technically unrelated to the murder case. Police continued gathering statements from students and neighbors in what they described as a meticulous, slow, and highly detailed process. In the interrogation room, Steven did not provide any new information. He was completely silent.
All right. I just got to ask you a few more questions.
Okay.
You came down earlier tonight, me and you talked, all right? You don't have any weapons on you, do you?
No.
That's just you are. What's wrong? You know I'm Detective Patterson, right?
Yes.
Do you remember? Put your hand up here. You remember us talking? I need you to know about this girl right here. You know her?
Yes.
Who is that?
Lauren Giddings.
Does she live next door to you?
Yes.
Okay. Look at me when you talk to me, son. Okay? Was you friends with her?
Yes.
I'm asking you for help. I need your help. Can you help me?
I don't know.
You don't know if you can help me?
Yes.
I need your help. Help me out. Tell me what to do. What do you think happened to her?
I don't know.
Do you even care that no one can find her? I mean, I don't know, do you?
Yes.
Well, you know there was a body found in the trash can next to the apartments.
Yes.
And it's a female, white female's body, right next to y'all's apartment. We don't know 100% sure it's Lauren, but we're pretty confident it is. I mean, who would do something to somebody and throw them in a trash can?
I don't know.
And you know why we've been working all day trying to find Lauren, right?
Yes.
Because her family wants to know where she's at.
Yes.
And I don't know what to tell her family. So I'm asking you, what do I need to tell her family?
I don't know.
It's all on you, brother. What do you want me to tell her family? Huh?
I don't know.
Well, I need to know. You got your ass on that fucking news and stood out there and gave a media report that her mother saw. You sure stood out there and ran your mouth to the news media, but now you're gonna get out here and you don't fucking know. You're just a sorry piece of shit that don't give a fuck.
Why would you not be honest with me?
I am being honest.
Steven, it just doesn't feel like it, buddy. You know, I get the sense that there's something weighing heavy on your heart right now. Steven, did you hurt Lauren?
No.
What'd you do, buddy?
I didn't do anything.
What'd you do to Lauren?
I didn't do anything.
You're gonna look at this right here, this little girl right here, and you're gonna say you don't know? I know you know.
I don't know.
Yes, you know. What are you gonna say tomorrow when I say we got your hair with the body? I believe that you're a good guy. You've been picked on. Girls didn't show you the respect that you deserved. You did something stupid, and I believe you feel bad about it. And that's why you're all freaked out right now. We want you to tell it so that way people understand you're not a monster. Things just, you got out of control. It's a sickness. Why'd you do it, Steven?
I didn't do it.
Steven, why are you going to keep telling that? You hurt that girl.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did, Steven. I'm going to take this from me. You don't deserve to look at it. Just stay right here, okay?
Okay.
I appreciate all your cooperation tonight, okay?
Okay.
In the interrogation room, nothing he said made logical sense. Many details were wildly contradictory, and he was extremely reluctant to answer the detective's questions. Mostly, he only replied yes, no, or I don't know. Every word, gesture, and movement from Steven was deeply strange. Officers said they had never seen anyone react like this in an interrogation room. He sat almost completely motionless the entire time, barely moving his body at all, to the point where investigators had to remind him to look them in the eye when he answered. When the tape was played at high speed, his stillness appeared even more eerie, in stark contrast to the natural movements of the officers walking around, turning, coming in and out of the room. Even when detectives left the room, Steven remained in the exact same position, staring straight ahead. His constant repetition of no and I don't know started to make Detective Patterson lose his patience. In his mind, there was no longer any doubt. This was the man who had killed Lauren. But by then, it was already past midnight, and they still hadn't gotten any useful lead from him. Steven also stated that he had 2 scratches just above his hip. With just a quick glance, the detectives could tell those scratches were very recent.
He did have a scratch on his chest right below his sternum that night that he told me was a spider bite. Well, it didn't look like a spider bite to me.
Police kept aggressively tearing through his apartment, searching for more traces and clues. They discovered that he had somehow gotten hold of a master key that could open every single unit in the building. They found the empty box for a hacksaw and several USB drives, which were later confirmed to contain extremely depraved child pornography images and videos. More disturbingly,
he had in his possession both the master key and a key to her apartment. He had a flash drive that belonged to her that contained hundreds of her personal photos. His computer history showed an interest in her Facebook and LinkedIn pages, and sometimes would be searching for images of her around the same time that he was looking up violent pornography. Of course, we found, her underwear in his apartment.
It was all utterly terrifying, and given the sheer number of times he had searched for Lauren's name, it was clear he had been targeting her for a long time. One of his final searches was for the garbage collection schedule in the city of Macon. Everything he had done was truly sick and disgusting. In the interrogation room, he remained stubborn and refused to reveal anything more.
It's all over anyways. The game's over. I mean, we know what you did to her, so we just want to know if you were going to tell us or not.
I didn't do anything.
Well, that's what you say. But we know different, so you're fucked either way. So you can sit there with that dumb look on your face, but it's over.
I don't know what you want me to say.
I want you to say nothing. You're fucked either way. Thought you were smarter than everybody. Somebody always leaves something at a crime scene. You fucked up. At first I didn't really believe you had anything to do with it. I said, man, it couldn't have been him. He used to work down the DA's office with us. He's a good guy. He used to help us out. Friendly guy and everything. Couldn't be him. He couldn't have done something like that. The sad thing about it is you probably could have made something with your life. But you chose a different route because, 1, you don't have a girlfriend, and 2, you're never going to get a girlfriend.
A hacksaw was found in the maintenance shed, which was locked off with a key that we later found in Steven McDaniel's apartment. That hacksaw that we found did have Lauren's DNA, blood, and tissue on that. We also found packaging where it was bought, and we found receipts where it was bought from Walmart. It was the same package in Steven McDaniel's apartment.
He was the one who had brutally murdered Lauren. But why did he kill her? His classmates said he was the kind of person who made others feel deeply uncomfortable and hard to be around. He often asked very strange questions about death, was obsessed with a zombie apocalypse, and with the idea of a perfect murder that police would never be able to solve. At school, Steven had even once been voted most likely to be famous. People also said he frequently argued and clashed with his classmates, especially with Lauren. No one in the class wanted to be friends with him. Now, as his college years were coming to an end, he had no idea where to go or what to do next. He was leaving school with no friends, no plan for the future, like someone who had no idea where his life was headed. From the time they started living next door to each other in 2008, Lauren had genuinely tried to be his friend and support him. She even stopped once to introduce him to her mother, Karen, when she saw him hurrying around the complex alone. Karen saw him again the night before graduation. There was something about that boy that made me feel uneasy, she said. After that second conversation with Steven, she could not shake the thought that he lived right next door to Lauren. I thought it was very strange that he always kept the blinds closed, the windows shut, and you never saw him, Karen recalled. But although Lauren always tried to be kind, Steven made her feel the same way he made almost everyone feel, uncomfortable and unsafe. In an email Lauren sent to David in 2008, the same year she had moved in, she described Steven's behavior and a confrontation with him in class. She wrote, "He looks at me with this creepy expression. He's targeting me." It was obvious Steven liked Lauren. He had asked her out a few times, but aside from the fact that Lauren was in a serious relationship, she simply had no interest in him. From that point on, Lauren remained polite whenever she happened to run into him, but she deliberately kept her distance. With everything they had found, on August 2, 2011, Steven McDaniel was indicted for the murder of Lauren Giddings. He was later charged with 7 additional counts related to the sexual exploitation of children.
Hey, Steven, how are you, buddy?
All right.
Need to ask you a few more questions.
I have nothing to say without my attorney.
You don't want to hear what we have?
No.
All right.
I want my attorney.
Even though his attorney requested bail to be set at $100,000, the court set it at nearly $1 million. A grand jury indicted him on 1 count of murder, and when all of his devices had been fully analyzed, the number of child exploitation charges rose to 30 counts.
The case building against Steven McDaniel and the murder of his neighbor, Lauren Giddings, is getting stronger.
Today, a grand jury announced there's enough evidence to prepare for trial.
1 count of murder and 30 counts of sexual exploitation of children. Those are the heavy charges stacked against McDaniel, who's been in jail since July 1st on unrelated burglary charges. More than 20 grand jurors heard from the district attorney's office this morning before deciding there's enough evidence to let this case go to trial. This indictment says evidence shown today leads the grand jury to believe Steven McDaniel did kill, murder, and cause the death of Lauren Giddings, a human being, by inflicting bodily harm in a manner unknown to the grand jury at this time, including decapitation of said victim. Since the grand jury has decided there is enough probable cause in this case, the next step is arraignment. That's when McDaniel will enter his plea, and according to his attorney, Floyd Buford, it'll be not guilty.
Because the grand jury decided there was probable cause in this case, the next step was an arraignment, where McDaniel would officially enter a plea. According to his attorney, Floyd Buford, that plea would be not guilty. Although all of the evidence presented pointed directly at him, the prosecution still acknowledged that this was, for the most part, a case built on circumstantial evidence. Apart from the underwear, there was no DNA from Steven McDaniel on Lauren's body. None of his belongings were found in Lauren's bathroom, and his DNA was not on the hacksaw. As for Lauren's underwear, he claimed he had stolen it, just as he had said about the condoms. They still could not prove the exact cause or time of death, but even so, the prosecution felt confident and ready to take the case to trial. Not long after, another piece of evidence was presented, and it truly closed everything in a chilling way. On a memory card recovered from his apartment, they found a video proving that Steven had been stalking Lauren for a very long time. Her feelings of unease, of being watched, of someone sneaking into her apartment, were not imagined at all. A few days later, hundreds of people came to St. Mary of the Mills Church for Lauren's funeral. Despite every effort to search for her, only the upper half of her body had been found. That was all they were able to bury that day.
Today, the Bibb County District Attorney's Office announced it plans to seek the death penalty against Steven McDaniel.
Steven McDaniel continued to insist he was being framed, claiming he was innocent, and his defense team began preparing an argument that the police had set him up, going in and out of his apartment multiple times to plant evidence. In another twist, one of Steven's defense attorneys, who had previously worked with him, was also one of Lauren's instructors in a practicum course that bridged law school and real-world practice. He said he was very fond of Lauren and enjoyed teaching her, but there was one thing he remembered clearly about her when she was alive: Lauren opposed the death penalty. Because he knew the prosecution was pursuing a capital case, he did everything he could to try to take that option off the table. As everyone was bracing for what was expected to be an extremely intense trial, the prosecution agreed to drop the child exploitation charges and offered a plea deal. This, combined with his lawyer's advice, led Steven to change his mind. In April 2014, just 1 week before the trial was scheduled to begin, Steven McDaniel finally pled guilty to killing and dismembering Lauren. For almost 3 years, there had been 2 major questions haunting the murder of Lauren Giddings. The first was what had happened to the rest of her body, since only the upper torso had been found, and the second was what exactly had happened on the night she died. Suddenly, Steven McDaniel wrote out the answers to everything, in gruesome, horrifying detail. As part of the plea agreement, Steven agreed to write a detailed confession, a document spelling out exactly what he had done and how he had done it. Lauren's mother, Karen Giddings, herself a former law student, sobbed as she said,
Steven McDaniel is a psychopath who cowardly allowed darkness and evil to consume him. He should never be permitted to prowl the streets of this world again.
That is the voice of Karen Giddings, the mother of Lauren Giddings, the Mercer Law grad who was killed almost 3 years ago.
Today, Steven McDaniel entered a guilty plea to the murder of Lauren Giddings. His guilty plea provides finality to this case and assures justice that cannot be undone. Because of this guilty plea, Steven McDaniel will never again be able to deny that he and he alone is responsible for Lauren Giddings' death.
One of Steven's former attorneys said the case turned decisively against him once the computer evidence began to surface and kept piling up. Investigators kept finding more and more material tied to his computer and his camera, and in the end, he had to admit that it was more than enough to convict him. Before moving to the sentencing phase, the prosecution presented evidence that showed who Steven really was as a person.
The linchpin in all this was when we found deleted video that he had used to surveil her home on the night it appears that she was murdered. And that was found on a camera in his possession. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. He took a wooden pole and he duct taped that camera to the end of the pole, and then he held the pole up really high to peek inside her window.
They played the video he had recorded of Lauren's apartment and read out several forum posts believed to have been written by Steven, including this one: graduate from law school. Celebrate hard by getting drunk alone in front of the computer. See your hot neighbor, classmate come home late. Invite her up for one last drink. Fix her a special drink called a Mickey Finn, a drink made to knock someone out. She passes out. I finally lose my V-card. Oh no, she overdoses and dies. I barbecue her arms and legs to celebrate losing my V-card. Do not like organs, so I throw the torso away. Freak out on TV while police are discovering the body parts. You mad virgins? However, the authenticity of this post is still debated, as some people believe it might have just been someone trolling online. And although the prosecution is convinced he wrote it, in theory it remains a topic of discussion. As part of the plea agreement, Steven had to stand in court and admit what he had done that day. And this was his statement about what happened. At around 4:30 in the morning, he unlocked Lauren's door with the master key. He was dressed in black from head to toe, wearing gloves and a mask. He said he stood there watching her sleep.
He pleaded to breaking into Lauren's apartment, to strangling her, to moving her to the bathroom, to taking her body apart, to hiding it, to ripping up evidence and putting it down the toilet, cleaning up everything, and then acting like she was still alive.
He left her there for the rest of the night and the entire next day. On the evening of June 27th, he returned with several tools, including the hacksaw, and began dismembering her body, describing the entire process in extremely graphic detail. He put the body parts into different bags and said he had thrown them into various dumpsters around the university campus. But he put the torso in the trash bin next to the apartment complex, thinking the garbage would be collected soon. He cut the mask, gloves, and shirt into small pieces and flushed them down the toilet. The medical examiner stated that there were no signs of sexual assault, and Steven also claimed that he had never sexually assaulted Lauren. She was wearing pink running shorts when she died, and I never took them off. They were found on her torso exactly the way they were when I left, he told the court. Even after almost 3 years, people still could not believe it. Lauren had never done anything but be kind and considerate to him from the very first moment she met him, something Steven himself admitted. He said that after that night, he lived in a foggy, paranoid state and had convinced himself that Lauren was still alive. He said, "It is very hard for me to explain why I killed Lauren and tried so hard to cover up what I had done. I know it was terribly wrong. I am not insane or completely without morals. There must be something in my makeup, psychological, neurological, or some kind of disorder unique to me that could explain this." He told Lauren's family that he was sorry and that he grieved for her every day, but he did not expect forgiveness. "There is no way I could ever deserve forgiveness. If I could take back what happened, I would." He said the only reason the prosecution did not continue to seek the death penalty was because Lauren had opposed capital punishment and her family wanted to honor that. They said they hoped he would live a very long life, but the worst life possible, in prison. Steven McDaniel was sentenced to life in prison, with no possibility of parole before the year 2041. After sentencing, from behind bars, he wrote a long letter claiming he was the victim of police threats, psychological abuse, and that his case had been unfair from the very beginning. We are getting new glimpses into the inner world of Steven McDaniel. In a neatly written, tightly packed, 2-page handwritten document, Steven McDaniel describes his experience with the Macon police. He complains that officers yelled at him and threatened him in the interrogation room for hours during the early stages of the investigation, and even refused to let him use the bathroom unless he asked permission. McDaniel said he was so stressed that he had a seizure and needed medical help, but was only told that emergency medical technicians would check on him if he allowed police to search his apartment. He claimed that even after they got into the apartment, he still did not receive medical care. He requested a new trial, which he believed would be more fair. 4 years later, he filed an appeal, representing himself, and called more than 10 witnesses to the stand, including his former attorney, whom he even tried to sue for damages. Things really became heavy in the afternoon when McDaniel started questioning his former attorney, Floyd Buford. McDaniel chose to waive attorney-client privilege, which meant Buford was free to talk about the conversations he had had with McDaniel. Buford testified,
"Up until the last couple of weeks of your case, I was strongly in your corner. The graphic, specific, detailed confession, which we were shocked about in the jail, and then combine that with the searches on the internet, the fact that you had done searches about having sex with dead people, things of that nature. All of that combined to a heavy evidentiary problem in your case. On top of that, you possess the most horrific child pornographic photos I've ever seen."
In his habeas petition, Steven accused Floyd Buford, Frank Hogg, and the rest of the defense team of failing to represent his interests effectively. Buford responded,
"Started off facing a death penalty. It ended up with life and possibility of parole. You could get out one day, Stephen.
I will someday forget your face, Steven McDaniel. In my eyes, you are the devil. You have turned my life as well as my friends and Lauren's family upside down. You may have taken Lauren from us, but in the end, her spirit and her memory will carry on. I will never hear the sound of her laugh. I will never forget the happiness she brought me. The Giddings family are a second family to me, and together we will forever celebrate Lauren's life at every holiday, wedding, birth, and every single day for the rest of our lives. Lauren, I will never let you go. I will carry you in my heart forever. Wherever I go, she will be forever the most amazing friend.
In his complaint, Steven asked the court to order his attorney to refund $50,000 in legal fees, plus $250,000 in punitive damages for negligence. He also filed a complaint against Judge Howard Sims, accusing him of being biased. The appeal was denied. Now 37 years old, he filed yet another appeal in the year 2022, claiming the prosecution had stolen documents, violated his rights, and that his attorney had been incompetent. He demanded that his conviction be overturned and that he be released from prison. This killer was truly unhinged and devoid of humanity. His father, Mark, supported him and said, "We hope the truth will come out. That is all we ask." And is every fine say. But the judge said he could not consider the appeal because it had been filed more than 1 year after the legal deadline, and so it was dismissed. If McDaniel had acted with reasonable care, instead of blindly insisting that the Georgia Supreme Court was at fault, he would have realized that his petition was late, the judge added. Steven then filed yet another appeal, and that process is still ongoing. Some relatives and friends of Steven still believe he is innocent, and his father even created a GoFundMe page to raise money for legal expenses. But no one donated, and the page was quickly taken down. Lauren's sister Caitlin called the effort pathetic and delusional. Steven's grandfather, Hollis, gave an interview before he passed away, talking about visiting his grandson in prison. He said, If everything the police have is true, then I guess I am a heartbroken grandfather. You go into the visiting room, and he just sits there in silence. You cannot get anything out of him. You just want to pick him up and take him to a doctor, but he is grown, he is not a little boy anymore. So it just breaks your heart. You have to accept what is right in front of you, whether you like it or not. I did what I thought was right at the time, which was to call a lawyer for him immediately. I thought the lawyer would come, post bail, and take him home. But dear God, when I saw him, he looked different. His mother, Glenda, also defended her son, and it seems that when he was first arrested, she still believed he was innocent. I will give him the biggest hug when he gets out, and he will hug me the same way, she said, adding that she imagined him one day becoming a Supreme Court justice. But to police, prosecutors, and Lauren's family, the case is closed, and the original verdict was the right one. Lauren's sister Caitlin said that Lauren seemed to be one of the few people who had ever truly been kind to Steven, giving him a bit of attention even though he was withdrawn and isolated. There is no neat little lesson, like teach your kids to lock their doors when they get in the car or don't go to this part of town. There is no if she hadn't done X, this wouldn't have happened. Because you should always be kind to people, you should be nice to your neighbors. Just because someone looks different does not mean they are bad. But in this case, he really was. Investigators believe they stopped a potential serial killer that day, a predator and danger to children, before he could claim more victims. Once voted most likely to be famous in school, he is now infamous in one of the most horrifying cases the community has ever seen. Police praised Lauren's family and friends for reacting quickly, and admitted that if garbage collection had managed to empty the dumpster containing her torso, the case might have gone cold and they might never have caught Steven. Investigators also believe Steven has never truly told the whole truth, and that there is still much about that night he keeps hidden. I am sure there are things he will never tell anyone, Detective David Patterson said. Lauren's sister Sarah added, obviously we know she is dead, but we do not believe anything Steven McDaniel says. I do not think he is an honest person. He could come up with a million stories. He has a very vivid imagination. Police continue to search for the remaining parts of Lauren's body, believing they may be somewhere on a 62-acre property owned by Steven's family. Although, in theory, he could be considered for parole in the year 2041, legal experts believe he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. Lauren's family celebrates every milestone, every event she should have been there for, as if she were still present and participating. They also organize annual memorial runs in her honor. The city of Macon has 2 memorials dedicated to Lauren, one at Mercer Law School, and one on a pink bench in Washington Park near the Mercer campus, where Lauren loved to go running. Lauren's family also created the Lauren Teresa Giddings Scholarship. At the law firm where she interned, Lauren was known for always wearing bright colors, especially pink. They even coined the term Pink Wednesdays to joke about her, saying she was like Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. She went into a profession known for dark pinstripes. Pink was her way of telling the world, bring it on, I can handle it. The case ended with a life sentence for Steven. But justice has never felt complete. Lauren's body was never fully recovered.
He told us that the rest of her remains were placed in a different dumpster.
The full truth about the night she was murdered still lies in the darkness of a twisted mind that refuses to reveal everything. And her family, year after year, keeps running in her memory as if forcing their hearts to keep beating, even though a part of them has been taken away forever. Lauren is gone, but those who love her continue to tell her story, so that her light never goes out. If you want to hear more stories where darkness tries to swallow the light but the light keeps fighting back, stay with me. This journey is far from over.